Hello, Amrita.
Yes, ma'am. I think we can start. We are almost 3:05. I think we can start.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Okay. Ma'am, you can start the session.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well and ready for this is an afternoon time post lunch. So let me try and keep you engaged. So today we are going to deal with, when we look at yesterday we were talking a lot about the patent specification, patent searches. And we also, during the searches, we saw how you could select a certain field for narrowing or broadening your searches. So let's look at a patent specification. What are the contents? And then, of course, Dr. Tiwani is going to, take you through how to draft a specification. However, today I'm going to be concentrating on what is the format of a specification and what are the contents. And why do we put all these contents? For example, why do you need a title? Why do you need an abstract? Why do you need the background? And what are the things that will normally be there in under each of these titles? So, and what is sometimes I'll also like to explain what is the purpose of this whole why it has to be done in the way that it has been prescribed. Okay. So I'll just share my screen with you. Okay. Can you share? Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am. It's visible.
Okay. Okay. Fine. So right. So this is what we are going to do, the format of a specification and what are the contents of the specification, and we'll take any question and answers which are there. So here I have, prepared a basic chart, which in a very concise manner tells you what are the contents of a particular patent specification. So here you see that there's a title, then there's a field, then we talk about the background art, then we may acknowledge some prior art if we are aware of it, and if it is if you want to talk about it. Then there is a disclosure of the invention. Then we have a brief description of drawings, detailed description of drawings. We would give some examples. Then we talk about the industrial applicability of that, because how it's going to be made by an industrial process or used in an industry. and then we make our closing statements. Of course, then this is the most important part, that is the claims. Okay, there will be some plurality of claims. So there can be more than one claims, more than one independent claims, or more than one dependent and independent claims. Of course, in very important part is drawings, which are, in case of mechanical engineering or sometimes electrical engineering, even in computer engineering, we do flow charts. In chemical engineering, sometimes we have the apparatus flow. You can also use, your test results. Even in chemicals and pharma, you can sometimes use to show the efficacy or show some test results by using the charts or graphs, or generated by equipment or self-generated. And then we also have to separately give abstract. So this claims to title will be part of the form 2, and drawings will be there, and then we have to also give an abstract. Okay, so now this part here we talked. So basically, these are the aims and objects of the invention. This disclosure and brief description and detailed description. This is requirement of sufficiency and requirement of fair basis. These two things we need to take care of. Okay, and I mean, we'll go into detail of this as we talk more. So this is this can be very useful for you. You can take a printout and put it on your softboard, or you can leave it on your desktop whenever you are drafting or a patent specification. And this is very helpful to make sure that you are not missing out on any important part. Now, what is the field of the invention? So this is like, this is a simile that we use to sort of make it easier to understand. So field of the invention is like a jungle. So there are many trees of different, of the same variety. So let's say a jungle of eucalyptus trees, or there's a jungle of pine trees, or there's a jungle which has got all baboon trees, or there may be a orchard of apple trees. Okay, so this is the field of the invention. Is like a jungle or an orchard or a place where all similar trees are there, and they may be a little different from each other also. Now, so this is basically the field. Now, what is the purpose of my drafting of the invention, drafting of the patent specification? My patent specification is my invention. So let's say this is my invention. It is different. As you see in the previous slide, we had all our trees were green, and just to differentiate, we have given it a different color to say that this is my tree, this is my invention, and this is different than all the other trees, all the other trees in the field. Okay. So that is what the field is about. It's the general area of technology, and this is my invention. And now the purpose of our specification or our patent specification is to draw this path. So basically, as a person starts reading the specification from here, the person is led gradually, as they start from the title to field, to background, to the brief description, detailed description, looks at the drawings, sees the abstract, and then read the claims. By that time, the person who is reading the specification should come to this tree, which is my invention. So this is like, again, a very pictorial representation, and this just shows you why there are certain contents of your specification. Basically, if you keep this purpose in mind, that what is the purpose of my specification, this what is there on your screen now is the purpose of your specification. The purpose is that anybody who's in that field of technology, where multiple inventions or multiple products or multiple processes are already existing. They are all little different from each other, or they may be similar to each other. However, my invention is totally different. It's novel, it is inventive, and therefore I'm going to write my specification in such a way that it is going to lead to this my invention. So a person is able to, in this whole jungle of things, is able to identify my invention by reading that content. So this path is like the content of the specification, which is leading to very clear and succinct understanding of my invention. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, this is another way, all these things have been devised by Dr. Mohan Diwan, to make it very familiar and very clear and very simple for people to understand. And that's how I've learned from him whatever I know about patents, because his way of making things, complex things simple is very, very unique. So this is another way that we sort of look at a patent specification tree, and you can also use this to, again, save wherever you can readily refer to it. So that again, when you are drafting a specification or when you are reading one, you are looking at all these parts, and then you see, where to go for certain particular type of information. Even when you are doing patent search or you are reading a specification for getting familiar with the technology, or you're going to use that technology for invalidation or whatever. So here, so now let's divide, as a tree is divided into two parts. One is under the ground, and it is the root. So the root has a main root. You will see a thick root going down. If you've ever seen an uprooted tree, you'll see there's a thick root which is going down, and that's the main root. There may be some small shrubs which don't have, but let's talk about a tree. So this is the main claim. Okay, you can and consider it analogous to the main claim, and then all these other roots which are coming out from the main root can be identified as the other claims, or what we call dependent claims. Okay, so this is what this is one part. Then this second part, which is above the ground, is the rest of the specification. So this is called body of the specification. Okay, just like we say trunk of the tree or tree. So this is the whole body of the specification. Now, the body of the specification has different parts. So for example, this is the first part, the title. This is one stem. The second is the field. The third you can say is the abstract. Then there's a background or prior art. Then the other part is the brief description of the drawings in the description. And then this is the object and statement of invention. So in description, you have the brief description, you have the detailed description, you have the closing statement, you have the example. These are the four main parts of the description. So after the background, you have the description, in which you have brief description of drawing, detailed description, closing statement, and examples. Then here you have the other part, which is the object and statement of invention, and technical advancement and economic significance. So if we take care of this, then it is a fully rounded specification. And just now, another learning from this tree is that not only it helps us in remembering each part which should be there in a good patent specification, it also shows us that how the body and the roots, how they trunk and the root both are dependent on each other. They are complementary to each other, but they are absolutely essential. Same way here, the root holds the trunk in place. That is, it's very important for anchoring it. At the same time, it is also giving it nutrition. So the main claim is like the root. It is the main, it is the main claim and other claims. This is the main part of your specification, which is really going to sort of differentiate and also create the boundary of what your claim will be, what your the scope of protection will be for a patent specification. So this relationship is just like a tree. Okay, both need each other, both need to be there, and they need to complement each other. They need to be in sync with each other. Then only synergistically they are able to produce fruit and survive. So this is just the same thing that we've already seen. Now what we'll do is that we'll take each one of these parts of contents of the specification, each item, and see what is to be done in each, and what is the basis. Why do we do it? Or why is it required? What purpose does it serve? So of course, the first one is title. So title will define the essence of the invention. It needs to be, it enables searching. Of course, it is a requirement of see, the whole patent philosophy is a quid pro quo, that you give a disclosure and and the government will give you 20 years of monopoly. So that is why enabling searching is also an important aspect of patent specification. If you have not enabled person to be able to find that patent, it's not a good thing. So it defines the essence of the invention. Secondly, it enables searching. However, it should not limit the scope of the invention and holds little weight. It does not limit the scope of the invention, and it holds little weight when it comes to claim interpretation. So the purpose of that is not to define the scope or limit the scope. So if you have by chance, by inadvertent error, or due to some lack of understanding, if you have written some title which is not really the scope of the invention, the scope is different. Let's say it's a product patent and you've written process by mistake, or you have said, you can always amend. So the title is not, when you come to claim interpretation, the words of the titles are not really defining the scope of the invention. Its purpose is really to just define the essence of the invention. So it can be a broad, scope. Okay. However, the legal requirement of the title is that it should sufficiently indicate the subject matter to the invention related. It should not be totally something different. So this is one legal requirement of the title, that it must sufficiently indicate. So the word here is sufficiently indicate the subject matter. And secondly, it should also disclose the specific feature of the invention, normally not in more than 15 words. So we have a limitation here of 15 words. Therefore, we have to very carefully use these 15 words. We don't need to really disclose the invention here, but we need to point to a specific feature of the invention. Sometimes, in practical life, we definitely will indicate the subject matter. We may not really sort of go into the specific feature. However, this is the legal requirement, that it should disclose the specific feature. But again, there is a limitation of 15 words. So these three things we need to consider when we are writing about the title. As a very simple example, that if it is a table, you cannot write table when the invention is a chair. So it should relate to the subject matter. And so what you can then, although not necessary, it is generally proper that title and the preamble of the claims match. So normally it is a good practice because sometimes creating more and more words, you could fall into not having consistency for the same object. You could use different words, which is not a good practice when you are doing a patent specification. So if you want to call it a table, then you call it a table, you don't call it a desk, though both may be similar. So the consistency of terminology is also an important aspect of patent drafting. Therefore, we recommend that the title could be similar to the preamble of the claims. If they match, then it's a good practice. So that also ensures that you have consistency. Okay, it should be broader than the abstract, because in abstract, again, as we'll come to it, you'll see the requirement of the abstract. So it should be broader than aspect. It should be broad enough to encompass all the aspects. So suppose you have product, you have process, you have apparatus. So again, within that 15 words, I must make sure that I write that it is a product, there is a process, and there is an apparatus, whatever. Suppose there is no apparatus, but so then if there are 3 independent claims for product, process, and apparatus, then I must make sure that my title is broad enough to encompass all these 3 aspects. If it is only product, then you can just say a formulation for an antibacterial formulation, or you may say, whatever the product is. So, but suppose you are making an antibacterial formulation, and you are also, the process is different, then you'll say an antibacterial formulation and a process thereof. And a process for manufacturing. So therefore it is important. So it should encompass all. All right. Then must be meaningful. Okay, that includes some level of novelty. Okay, right now, so another example that I can share is, for example, chair. Here, chair with water-filled seat. So here I have shown the novelty. I have given indication in about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words. We have given sufficient information. We have shown the subject matter. We have also indicated. So we had these 3 requirements: subject matter, we had a specific feature, and it is within 15 words. So let's look at this, chair with, so this is the subject matter. This is the specific feature. It has got a water-filled seat to make it, more comfortable, and maybe for people who get sores or anything for, any of these purposes. And it is less than 15 words. Same way, let's say high density fiber optic cable. So fiber optic cable is my subject matter. Okay, and the specific feature is that we are looking at a high density fiber optic cable, and it is again about 5 words. And again, another example, you can say data input device with a pressure sensitive input surface. So data input device is my subject matter, because it's a broader this thing. And then my specific feature here is that there's a pressure sensitive input surface. So this is my specific feature, and then this has gone a little more than 5, but it is still within the 15 15 words. Here again, wireless communication systems is the subject matter, and this method and apparatus for SRNS relocation. So here I'm pointing to a specific feature in this subject matter. However, it is much broader than the claim, because it's much broader than the abstract, because in the abstract we also give some indication of how we are doing it. Okay, so these are some examples of the title. So we have seen that title, what is the legal requirement, what is the practical requirements, and then we have seen some examples of how we do a title. And what is the purpose of writing the title? The next thing in the patent specification comes as the field. Okay, so let's look at the field. So when we are writing the field, normally it can vary from 1 line to 4 or 5 lines. And here there is no, by Indian law, there is no fixed number of words. However, it is advised that it is kept, between 1 to 2 sentences, or maximum 4 or 5 sentences. So this describes the technical field to which the invention relates, and it is typically in just 1 or 2 sentences. What is the purpose? To classify the technology and figure out to which examiner the application should be sent. Now, this is a very important part of understanding in the field, because in my experience, I've seen a lot of people in the field itself want to disclose the inventive feature of the technology. That is not required. The novelty does not need to come here. We need to simply describe the technical field to which the invention relates in 1 or 2 sentences. Okay. And the purpose is to classify the technology. So basically, who's going to read this field maximum is the administrative person who at the patent office, whether it is an Indian patent office or US patent office. They are going to read that, and you may be aware that there's a patent classification system. There's an international patent classification system. How many people from this audience are available that about the classification system? Just put yes in your chat box if you are allowed to do that by the system. So, so there's a patent classification system which is unique, which is followed all over the world. And let's say, let's look at IPC now. Of course, we had 2 different systems. The US classification was different, then international classification IPC was different, and now it has been combined, and we have CPC. So these are what the patent offices do is that they add value, okay, and they look at the technology and they classify it into certain classes. So there will be the broad class, then there will be subclass, and there will be further subclasses. So this is a exercise which is to be done, and for this my field needs to be very clear, because and then based on that class, when the prosecution starts, the patent office has to figure out to which examiner the application should be sent, because all patent examiners are technically qualified people. They have to it has to be examined by a person who is technically qualified in that domain. So this is the main purpose of the field. Okay. So it is not, this is what I was talking. So let's look at the other part. This field is not the invention. So here we don't talk about the novelty, that how, so the invention does not come in the field. It is merely a pointer to the area of the invention. Okay, so again here the important part for field 1, it should point to the technical field. It should be 1 or 2 sentences, but you can go up to 4 or 5. That may don't make it, keep it very clear, so that this purpose to classify the technology is met with. Because if the classification goes wrong, then it may be allotted to another examiner and sent back, and your patent application, your prosecution will get delayed. Let's look at an example. So you can simply write, like in our earlier example, title where we have seen time, the present disclosure relates to chairs, particularly to portable chairs. So I have indicated that I'm going to talk about the chairs. My field of invention is chairs, and it is particularly to portable chairs. So the patent office will look at chairs. They come, let's say, if they come in broadly in human, into let's say furniture class. So they will use from A to K, classify it into that where chairs come. Then there will be a subclass where out of all the other furniture, chairs come. And then they will further classify, if there is a class that has been created for portable chairs, they will further classify it and put that classification. So even for your searching, it becomes very easy. You can actually first go to the patent classification system. You can actually find out what is the class which is most relevant to this. Sometimes you find a very good class which is like really narrows the scope of your narrows the breadth of your search, and in that case you can simply just take the class and limit it maybe by country or maybe by the date if it is required, or if you don't get too many results. So the whole thing, whether portable has been written as movable or any other word has been used, but the patent office has already classified it, you considering all the synonyms. So there you, once you start using the classification system, it becomes very useful. This whole worry about whether I'm missing out on a particular word or a synonym or is also lost. So this is one example. Then here you have another. So now they have not said how are they making the chair portable, and their portable chairs are known. What is the new thing you are doing in a portable chair? Maybe the folding mechanism is easier. Maybe the mechanism is such that it is sturdy. In foldable chairs, sometimes the mechanism is so flimsy that it just after a few use of folding and opening, reusing it, it starts falling apart. So we have indicated that it is about chairs. We have not gone so broad to say that it relates to furniture, because we don't want the person to get very lost. So we are saying that it relates to chairs, and then we are saying that it relates to portable chairs. But we are not saying what is the novel feature in the portable chair. What is your system? How are they? How is the folding is happening, or how is it made portable? That is not coming in the field. Okay. Now, then another example here is present disclosure relates generally to fiber optic cable. That was our title example. Similarly, the field for that, and more particularly to high density optic fiber cables. So similarly, we have written the field for that. So we have indicated the subject matter, we have indicated the technology in which area, and we have also indicated that it relates. Now, how am I making it high density? How is my high density cable different than other high density cables which are already available? What technical advancement is it giving? It is giving high density, but there is also already there are several high density cables available. How am I doing it? That is invention. That doesn't come here. Okay. Like third example is again what we were looking at in the title. The present disclosure is concerned with a data input device having a pressure sensitive input surface. Similarly, the fourth example that we saw in title, we are showing the technology field, and then we are saying more specifically it relates to this, so that the person who is looking at the classification is able to do a proper classification for their invention. So this is the how we write the title and the field. Now the third important aspect is the background of the invention. So now in the background, what we do is that we introduce the technical field to the reader. We are not the background of the invention. It does not describe again. In the background of the invention, we do not describe the invention. We are only going to describe the background of the invention, the technical field, the problems of what has happened in that technical field so far, what has happened, and if there was a problem with that, then what was the problem. So we describe the state of the art at the time of filing of the application. So we can talk in general that this is the state of the art, this is where the technology is, and what is the problem, what are the drawbacks, what are the disadvantages, what are the limitations of the current technology or of the non-solutions to those problems. So this is very important, that we are here again in the background. We do not describe the invention. We are still talking about the technical field, what has already been done in the technical field to solve certain known problems, certain drawbacks, certain disadvantages, or certain limitations. We highlight, either you can take a white paper, you can take a patent document, or you can talk in general. You don't have to always cite a particular prior art, as in by publication or a product or a non-patent or a patent document. If you want to, you can. But if you don't want to, then you can describe the general state of the art from your knowledge, and then you can talk about the problems or the drawbacks or the disadvantage or limitation of that current technology. Or suppose some solution has been given, you can talk about the drawback of that solution also. Okay, that's where our background ends. We have still not talked about, so we say these were the problems, these are the prior art, this is the state of art at the moment, these are the problem I'm solving. These are the problems that needs to be solved, and that is because of these problems or this disadvantage or this one limitation. It could be one, it could just be a simple one limitation. There is a need for having a new product or a new process. So normally we end the background with a need statement. Okay. So it may refer to developments in the field. As I told you, it may refer to a non-patent literature. It may refer to patents or pending patent application. And then we have discussed that you may choose to then you talk about the drawbacks of all these developments. It may be a one single drawback, it may be a limitation, it may be a problem, and there may be solutions, but there may still be certain parts, certain limitations to these solutions. And finally, we state the need of the invention, that there is a need to find a new product or a new process to solve this problem of, let's say, solubility is not good. All these products that were there, they were not soluble, or the products that have been launched so far, they need a lot of energy to be manufactured, or they are corrosive, and they need, so there's a need for something. For example, there are a lot of patents related to hand sanitizer just now. And then the alcohol content or the way they have been cause a lot of drying of the hands. So we say that okay, there's a lot that these are the type of sanitizers that have been done and are present in the current technology. These are the kind of products in the, and then further development has happened to maybe to add some other ingredients. However, yeah, they still cause drying of the hands, and therefore there's a need for a product that will be as that will have equally effective antibacterial, antiviral properties, but they will not lead to drying of the hand. This is just an example which we are at the moment facing. Every day we are using sanitizers. So this normally the background ends with the statement of the need of the invention. Okay, now this is one example for this fiber optic cable that we were dealing with. Okay, so we are saying that in many applications, so this much is also enough. In many applications, it is desirable to minimize the size of the fiber optic cable while maintaining or increasing the number of optical fibers within the fiber optic cable. So we want to improve the transmission. We want to increase the number of the optical fiber, but as you keep increasing the number of the optical fibers in a cable, naturally it's going to become thicker and thicker. And then, the cumbersomeness of using it in some particular locations is undesirable. So here in the background, we have simply said that while maintaining or increasing the number of optical fibers, I need to also decrease the size, the diameter, the breadth of the cable. So as such, it will be advantageous to develop a unitized fiber optic cable having a relatively high fiber count while also being somewhat smaller, right? So we have said that there are optical cables which are available in the market. Many of them have lot of efforts have been done in the prior art to increase the number, to maybe improve transmission, and so either but what has been happening, that the size goes on increasing. Maybe some attempts have been made to decrease the size by some other methods, by maybe, the sleeve which is there, that has been made thinner, but then that has a problem because the temperature insulation doesn't happen, and it could lead to sparking, or it could lead to fusion of cables. So maybe people try to make it smaller by making thinner sleeves or something like that. However, it didn't work. So now, what is the need? So this is what we have discussed, that what is existing as a solution and what are the drawbacks, what are the problems of such products. And then this is a need statement, that there is a need to develop a unitized fiber optic cable which has high fiber count but is also a small one. We have still not talked about how we are doing it. Okay. So here we are again in the background, we are not talking about the invention. We talk about the field, the problems, this thing, and the need for a further invention. Sometimes, the background was used to limit the scope of the claim, and this judgment is important. You can go through it. And therefore, it is important now that before, if you cite any non-patent literature or if you cite any patent, then just make sure that you have really read every line of it. Sometimes we cite it just by reading the abstract, and it backfires. And you can read this agreement. Not agreement, sorry. You can read this judgment, and it will be very useful for you to understand why we, unless you have really read very carefully the whole invention or the whole document, like this US patent was there, or if you are using a non-patent literature, then you need to really very carefully read and then use it. Many times people simply take the abstract and just paste, and then when in the detailed description, for example, in this case, it was said that a very important feature of new PDA is an aspect of present invention is a direct parallel bus interface. Since many people are not from this background, I'm not really going too much into the detail of this. Those who are interested can read this judgment, and you'll know that sometimes, if you have not understood very thoroughly, and if you have really not read the document thoroughly, and then it is better to stick to background which is general background or general state of art from your, you are working in a particular field. So therefore you have general knowledge about that field. What are the problems? Because those problems, that feedback you are getting from maybe from your customers or from your marketing or you're from head of your business, that's what you are working on. So you are very much versed with the products and the processes available in that area and of technology, and then you just use that to talk about it. Don't use a particular document reference unless you really have read it thoroughly. And then also it is important that in the background, when you in the background no, you just simply not copy paste the abstract or the part of the claim. Many times I've seen people even write that this so and so US patent number so and so is a novel and novel method. So they are already calling it novel. It may be a pending application, and you already declared it to be novel, or it is a very good method, or whatever the person has written in the abstract. All that is copy paste. Sometimes it could backfire. So it's very important that when we are writing background, and if you are using a particular prior art reference, you need to understand it, read it thoroughly, and then write it in your own words. Okay. Of course, the Diwan will take you through these. So important thing is that you write it in your own words. And other important thing is also highlight the difference the limitation of that prior art right then and there. So sometimes if it is one limitation, you could cite 4 prior art and then say that this is the all this technology which has been described about does not solve this problem. Or if there are different problems solved, then you can say, okay, this was solved, but this did not happen. So in 2 things, if you are citing a particular reference, patent or non-patent, one, you need to make sure that you are writing it in your own words and not simply copy pasting it from this thing from the way the inventor or the applicant has or the patent attorney of the applicant has written. And second, you highlight the difference. Okay, you highlight the difference or limitation or drawback of that that prior art. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, so we'll now take the next important aspect of a patent specification, which is so I just see 2 questions. Amrita, I somehow I'm not able to see them here. Okay. There it is. Somebody is saying, is it possible to amend the background after filing? So yes, amendment is possible. However, if you see the Patent Act, there is a limitation of the amendment, that what can you amend? And this a particular topic of amendment we are dealing on, I think the 24th. So that day we'll be taking up what amendment is allowed. The basic law is that amendment should not go beyond the scope. You cannot add new subject matter. So only by way of clarification or explanation, all that there is a defined scope for amendment. So if it is within that, you can do it. And they will take one more question where Purnima Chandran is asking that sometimes we are asked to write some pertinent prior arts in that specific field. How can we overcome this problem? You do a prior art search, or if you've had a parallel invention in application which was filed in another country, and there the examination report has come and that prior art is known to you, you can give those details to the Indian examiner, or you can do a quick prior art search and provide such prior art if you are asked for it. Abbreviations are allowed in the title. I would not suggest if you are using any abbreviation indefinitely in title, you should not use. And if you have to use, then make sure that you have defined it in the specification. But mostly in the title, don't use abbreviation. In the specification, if you are using it, then you have to define and make sure that you have provided the full form, because many abbreviations are similar and it could mean different things to different people. Okay, so and then somebody is saying in EPA prosecution, relevant patents are asked to be follow this at IPO. And in my practice, sometimes yes, the Indian Patent Office has asked that incorporate the prior art which has been cited into the background, but much more rarer than in EP. Very rarely, and we have seen that Indian Patent Office has also asked for the prior art to be included in the thing, but very few cases. But in EP prosecution, yes, once the patent gets granted, then the European examiner asks you to amend the specification as per the granted claims and also include the prior art and its how it is differentiated into the uh, into the uh, specification. Okay, so now let's go on to the next part of the specification, which is objects. So many times again, just like background or field and field, many times still there is a tendency for people to write the invention itself in the objects. So here we differentiate that we don't write about the invention. So we are not going to write about the product or the features of the product or the let's say if it is a process pattern, then we don't talk about the steps, but what the objects do is provide the purpose of the invention or the advantages. I think if you always when you're writing your objects, if you think uh, that you make a list of the objects of the advantages, that what is the advantage, what is the purpose of my invention, what is the necessity of this. If you think of that and make that list and then convert all those advantages into each advantage into one object statement, you're sorted. So this is the easiest way of writing good object statements, where you think of all the advantages of your invention and convert each of them into a object statement. So for example, it could be economical, it could be safe, it could be efficient, it could be using less manpower, it is happening in less time, it is using less resources, it is more flexible. When you're talking about, let's say, a polymer product or an article, using less equipment, using less reagents, using less number of steps, or it is a one-pot reaction, or it is so any of these could be the advantages which you are getting from your invention. So this is really, so we have talked about using less resources, but we are not saying how, so objects of the inventions are, remember, advantages. So always when you are writing about the, about object statements, some of the object statements which at least one embodiment herein satisfied are as follows. So this is a common thing that you can cite. The present object of the present disclosure is to ameliorate one or more problems of the prior art, or at least provide a useful alternative. And then another object is to provide a safe alternative. Another object is to provide an alternative which uses less energy. Okay, so this is the way you can sort of make. Okay, so basically you have to say that you can consider objects as analogous to advantages. So always think of advantages, note down your advantages, and convert the advantages to a object statement. So these are for process patent, you could see it is, any of these, less equipment, it is economical because you are using raw materials which are cheaper. Ease of handling, eco-friendly. There's a lot of invention where eco-friendliness has become an important aspect of an invention. Easily available reactants. Okay. The ease of handling. Some reactants may be actually difficult to handle. Some products may be difficult to handle. They need special packaging because you have to provide some moisture barriers and oxygen barriers. But here you could come out with a product which doesn't need that. So all these will be advantages and they can be converted to object statements. Again, going back to our chair, an object of is to provide a chair which may be removably transported by a user or that supports the back. So if I have folding chair, because of the folding this thing, I may not have proper back support, but now I have come up with an advantage. So I have not disclosed how am I providing that foldability as well as a good support. So we've not described the elements of the chair. We have not described the relationship, or we have not described the structure or the characteristics of that chair, which is making it a novel chair or an inventive chair. But we are saying that this is the advantage, that despite being portable, it also gives me support for the back. Okay, and then here we also have a method of making the chair. All right, so this is about objects. Any questions so far? All right. Okay. Now you must have seen that there is a summary that comes before we start describing in detail the invention. So in the summary, what does the summary do? It provides a brief overview or the crux of the invention. All right. Then, of course, the summary will be broader than all the independent claims put together because it is describing the crux of the invention. And it declares different aspects of the invention. So after we have done a broad overview, brief overview, we have given the broader disclosure, we are then going to declare the different aspects of the invention. It can, in the summary, you may set forth the distinguishing novel features of the invention. So here, this is where the summary of the invention, the summary of the novel features, the summary of the crux of the invention. Now the invention comes into the picture. Okay, so this is where the first time our now invention starts, the story starts unfolding of this new development that we have come across. And this may also provide advantages of the invention over the state of the art. So earlier in the background, you had talked about the state of art and you had given the drawbacks or limitations of that state of the art. Now in the summary, what you are going to do is after giving the overview, the crux of the invention, then providing details about the invention. Now you talk about the invention in a summarized way, setting forth the distinguishing novel features of the invention. And when you are giving different aspects, you are giving some embodiments also. And then you can also write about the advantages of the invention over the state of the art. So in the object invention, you have given advantages, but you have not given the feature that provides you the advantage. Here you can now talk about a specific feature which gives you that particular advantage. So this is really where the invention starts unfolding. A good practice, again, a practical tip is to import the independent claims and convert them into set of paragraphs, because as you may know, the language of the claims is different. You have to write one claim in one sentence. So the language of the claim will be different. So here you can import the claim and rewrite it, convert it into a set of paragraphs without using the words claims or as claimed in. So you need to develop that expertise, how to convert the claims to summary. But basically, it's a good practice. So what happens? Why this is a good practice is because the requirement of the patent law, not only just in India, but in most other countries also, is that whatever you have disclosed in the claims should be there in the specification also. So if you adopt this practice, take the claims, bring it into summary, and then convert that into a set of paragraphs, you are also ensuring that all the subject matter, whatever has been claimed, is also coming to your description. So there is that support which is required is also there. Yeah.
You have to prove.
Okay. Now, so this is just an example. Now, the next aspect is brief description of the drawing. So if there are some drawings, you give a brief description. Sometimes you may not have drawings, so you can skip this part. So if a drawing is included, then you give a brief description of this thing. You may sometimes also include a brief description of the one of the drawing of the prior art, but make sure that in the drawing sheet you actually point out that this is prior art, because it can cause problem. So you write prior art in the drawing itself, and then in the description, brief description also, and in the detailed description, you can very clearly say that this is prior art. Sometimes it helps to really illustrate the difference between the prior art and the present invention. So if that is the case, if you think the drawing is going to be useful, you can use a drawing from a prior art but differentiated from the invention. So this is one, these are the examples. So here basically in the brief description, you need to say that figure 1 shows, let's say, a graph which shows the relationship between the temperature and density, or it illustrates such and such advantage, or it is a sectional view, or it is a top view. So it is important to define whether it is a vertical section or it is a cross section, so that the person who is looking at the drawing is able to understand what type of drawing it is. So this is really what comes in the brief description. Now, in the next thing is the detailed description. In the detailed description, of course, now you have to start writing in great detail about the invention itself. The first requirement of a patent specification is that you should adequately and accurately describe the technical aspects of the invention. I think there's some question related to drawings. Yes, if you this word prior art, you can write. That much is allowed. Numerals are when we do only numerals, it is for the parts that you cannot label the parts. But however, you can, but you still have to write figure number to identify. So you write figure number and you can write prior art. Now, going to the detailed description. The first important aspect why we write the detailed description is because we have to adequately and accurately describe the technical aspects of the invention, and this sufficiency of disclosure, it's that is called adequacy and accurately. Accuracy, both are important. So you cannot give examples that don't work or ranges that don't work. They should be valid ranges. You can have broad ranges, but technically they must all work. If you put in, let's say, a temperature range where a particular compound is actually going to, not be functional. It's going to disintegrate, or it's going to melt, or it's going to not give you the properties which you are claiming, then that could actually become a ground for invalidation of your patent. Now, somebody could use and say that what you are saying is not going to work. So so this accuracy and adequacy of description, both are equally important. Now you describe in detail what the invention is, how it can be put to practice, typically with reference to the accompanying drawing and preferred method of performing the invention. Okay, so now this preferred method of performing the invention is also very critical. It's called the best mode, and it is a requirement of most patent offices. And sometimes people are hesitant about giving these details, but again, remember that this is like a contract between the government and the applicant, that I'm going to give you full disclosure. I'm going to share my technology with you, and therefore in return of that you are giving me a monopoly for X number of years. So if you are not fulfilling your part of the contract, then naturally it is not going to stand, and your patent may be invalidated for any of these So the statutory requirement here is fully and particularly describe the invention and its operation or use, the method by which it is to be performed. Then you disclose the best method of performing the invention which is known to the applicant and for which that applicant is entitled to claim protection. A good practice, start with a brief introduction of the state of the art and the associated problems. Then you can also cite the advantages. Then here again you can import the claims and expand each claims, and and make sure that the same reference numerals which are used in the drawing are also used here, and make sure that each reference numeral which has come into the drawing has also come here. This consistency is very important, and also you have to make sure that the same one reference numeral is used for the same part. So these consistency between drawings and the description is very important. There are some tools also which are now available which you can use to make sure that one particular reference numeral is used consistently for the same part, and that all the numerals which are used in the drawing have come into the specification. Then you include, of course, examples, experiments, and if there are some results, then you can give the results. Then so you can substantiate. You need to call it substantiation. We call it substantiation. So you can substantiate your claim with the results. That if you are saying high density, then you can show what was the density, or you can show graphs, and then interpretation of those tables and graphs can be included, which sort of will substantiate the claim that if you are saying that my size of the cable reduces, or I get a compound which has got this molecular weight distribution, or the size of particles, then any photographs can also be used as to substantiate that claim. Graphs can be used, but the important thing is description of that graph and interpretation. When you use tables, sometimes people just put a lot of tables and tables, but what is the inference? The inference of the table, showing what is the table, this thing, and connecting that table to substantiate connecting that inference to substantiate your claim is the important aspect. So this is just a few this thing that you can avoid things like you can like, for example, prior art. You don't praise it or you don't criticize. You simply state that this was a technology and it was a drawback. Okay, then some infinite terms like you say it is better, it is it is it's very good. So all these terms which are not defined, which are indefinite, which don't sort of give accuracy, which don't which can be interpreted in a different, which are ambiguous, should be avoided. All these kind of abbreviations, vague terms, mainly, importantly, chiefly, substantially. Sometimes it could really mean a lot different. So all these are terms like reasonably, which are not defined, which are not, these are vague, these are not, it can be, sometimes, it becomes in the court when finally there's an infringement case and we are arguing, all these words can be used by either lawyer on either side to can be interpreted in totally two different directions, and sometimes you have long arguments going on for this. Then you can use these terminologies selectively, preferably. So, for example, if you have a temperature range of 100 to 500, but the preferred range is 150 to 250, then you can say that my temperature range is 100 to 500, but preferably the temperature range is 150 to 250. Or you can say something like optionally. So suppose one of the ingredients or one of the steps is optional. So you can write about your main invention, and then you can also say optionally I can add this also, or optionally I can do this step also. So in that case your claim is not limited by that step. So these words can also be used in accordance with our present disclosure. And then if there's a preferred embodiment, there's an example which you have actually carried out, you can talk about the preferred embodiment. Okay. Then you can adopt a practice of putting some few paragraphs of general disclaimers, which sometimes helps, but many times the patent office says that you are increasing the scope by these general paragraphs, and they may ask you to take it out. Okay. So this is how we expand the summary. Now in the summary we have talked about we started talking about the invention. Then now in the detailed description we have talked in lot of details about the invention, how it works, what are the preferred embodiments, what are the different steps, what are the different parts, what is its relationships, what are the materials, and then you can talk about the examples. You have also talked about the results you are getting from the specification. Now, technical advancements. This is the way we can technical advance. So here, as according to the Indian patent law, it's been defined, the inventor step has been defined as either technical advantage or economic significance. So you can have both or you can have one. So it is a good practice to actually put a separate heading and show the technical advancement and show the economic significance. So you can actually put what is the economic significance. For example, if you use materials which are less expensive and you are still able to get the same result, then show that calculation. Or if you are saving energy, then show that how much percentage of energy are you saving. So, or time, if you are saving time and that leads to economic significance, you can just show the percent. You can show in value, in unit, or you can even show it as a percentage. So it's a very good practice to actually put this detailed description at the end of the detailed description, to actually give it a separate heading: technical advancement and economic significance. For example, you can do this technical advancement, as we said, that This gives it can be transported, it gives support, it gives comfort, and the process that helps in making the chair is fast and it is economical. I don't need special equipment to make this chair, so it is economical. I could use my existing this thing, or I could use easily available tools rather than creating a new assembly line. And then is fast, so it is saving time. So these are the kind of sort of advantages that this technical advancement and economic significance. Though some part of it would have already come in the objects, it would have also come into your while writing the invention. However, it is a right. So this is a example how you can close your patent specification by further separately giving the technical advancements and economic significance. Okay. Now somebody has asked a question about giving an example how to write an an example. So for that, I would like to really just share a particular thing. That example is something that you have done. It's not something that's that you've done in the you are going to do. So when you say example, that means it is an experiment I have done. Or if it is an apparatus, this is something that I assembled. I made a chair. So when I'm going to write about that chair, about the process of making the chair or about the components of the chair, it needs to be in past tense. First important thing, because this is something that we have done. The second thing about examples is that you should not be giving a range in the example, because as we said, example or experiment, trial experiments that we do. We have already done this. So naturally you do one by one. You cannot have a range in that. You do one by one. So you may maintain the range, temperature range from 40 to 50 degrees, but you cannot say that I performed it from 40 to 100 degrees, because you have tried 40, then you did 50, then probably you did 70, and you did 100. So there will be 4 experiments. So it cannot have range. You cannot say put 80 to 200 grams of X compound. You cannot, because in a particular experiment you would have used 80 or 85 or 90 or 100. You cannot give a range like this. Put 80 to 200 grams of this substance. So these are the common things that I've seen. So an experiment or an example that you write or is actually what you have actually done. So when you are writing that in a patent specification, think of go back to in your mind into your lab and always write it in the past tense. Think of it as an actual experiment that you have done. So naturally there will be one value for everything. And then you can, if you have done, let's say 10 experiments, and that you have only, let's say, changed the reagent, then you can say that, 10 more experiments were done, which was carried out in the same way, and only this reagent was changed to this. Or you can say only the temperature was changed. Or you can do 5 were done like this, and then using this, we change the temperature. So this is the how you need to write the experiments. So they will, one, be in past tense, and they should not have any ranges for the reason that I have explained. Okay. now we have, so this is also, I think some people are asking about objects and technical analysis look similar. Yes, they are similar. As we said, as I already said, that some part of them will already be included into the objects. However, we are now, after describing the whole invention, we are now reiterating that this is the technical advancement. This is what, or economic significance. Here it could be, there we are only writing an object statement with the advantage. In technical advancement, we can, now that we have disclosed our invention, we can write it in more detail. So this is again summarizing the advantages. And I need to finally, after reading the whole thing, we want to bring the focus of the examiner back to these two things, technical advancement and or economic significance, which is a good thing to bring the focus back. Now the abstract, we'll go back to abstract. We'll go to the final part of the specification. We are not dealing with claims today. We'll be dealing with claims tomorrow, and Dr. Diwan will be taking that up. So abstract, it provides the concise summary and technical information on the invention. It commences with the title of the invention. So starting of the abstract will be like with the title of the invention, and then it clearly will indicate the technical field to which the invention belongs, the technical problem to which the invention relates. It will also very briefly talk about the solution to the problem through the invention, and maybe the principal use or uses of the invention. So here now in the abstract, this is the legal requirement of the abstract, that in title and field we said that we should not, and even in the objects we said we talk about the technical field, we don't talk about the solution. Okay, here in this we talk about the technical field, we talk about the problem, we talk about the solution, and also you can sort of look at the you can sometimes talk about the principal use or uses of the invention. Another legal requirement is that you have to, this is the legal requirement at the Indian Patent Office. Other offices may have different requirements. In India, we need to fit the abstract within 150 words. Then if sometimes if there is a drawing, then you need to identify which drawing do you want published with the abstract, because when an invention is, when an patent application which is filed, when it is published in the Indian Patent Office Journal, they would publish the abstract. Of course, there will be bibliographic details, but with that, they are going to publish a drawing. And therefore, it is a good practice. You may get that as an objection, or sometimes if it is not there, then it may simply be left pending and the publication might get delayed. So it's a good practice to specify that this is the drawing number 4, drawing number 3, or drawing figure number 1. This is the sheet I want published with the abstract. Same way also the chemical formula. If you have more formula, if you want to do 2 or 3, you can even specify that if there are 2 or 3 compounds, or if there is just one big there is one Marcus structure, you may specify that this formula needs to be published. So in the abstract, you need to also specify that this is, so it's a separate sheet. It's a separate sheet which is submitted to the patent office. So in that you put chemical formula or drawing, should be within 150 words. Now, what does it do? It constitutes an efficient instrument for the purpose of searching in a particular technical field. So basically the requirement sometimes, see basically all these things are again going back to the basic philosophy of the patent system, that you need to share technology with the people around, and in that it also not only share, but also it make it easy for them to read, because if everybody has to read every specification and do this, then it is very difficult for people to. So therefore, the title and abstract uh, should have enough information, as we saw in the previous slide, that the technical field, the problem, the solution, and sometimes, and also the use, that is it going to be used in automobile, is it going to be used in, let's say, polymer, is it going to be used for making a particular article. It is good to specify. That's a legal requirement. May indicate on the abstract the figure. This is what we just talked about. The figures of drawing which may accompany the abstract when published. So this indication, when we give it, then the patent office will choose that particular figure or the formula. As we discussed earlier also, this abstract should be broader than the summary section. So it is the disclosure is broader than the summary section. So let's say, for the example of chair that we have been talking about, it is, say, the present disclosure relates to a chair which may be removably transported by a user. So here we have talked about the technical field, which is the chair, then removably transported by the user to a desired support surface by providing the user a comfortable support. The chair includes these steps. The method of making the chair includes these steps. So we have given the problem that we want it to be transported, and we want it to be comfortable. So and we want it to have a support. So for having these, this is the field, technical field. These are the problems, that it should be transported, it should be comfortable, it should also give desired support. These are the problems. Then in the chair includes, we are going to write in 1 or 2 sentences the parts. So that is the solution. That is why the invention is included in the abstract. And then if there is a method, you could also say this includes this. And then we have specified this particular figure, which is the most representative figure for the drawing. So this is an example of how good abstract good abstract can be written. Now there are some questions like, can mathematical formula be included in the abstract? Now really, I mean, see, we are talking about, does mathematical formula, now ask yourself, does mathematical formula is a field of invention? Is it a problem? Is it a solution? Is it a use? So these are the 4 things that need to come in the abstract. Okay, so instead of asking for each thing, mathematical formula, should it come? Should this can be included? Now, this is like what we learn over years of practice. We're trying to do it in 2 hours. So I can really just do basic concepts with you, and you can very intelligently apply these concepts. They are very practical tips, very, very basic and very very thought out tips. And these are practices, basic practices, and we have also given legal requirement. So it's very simple for you to ask these questions to yourself. That is a mathematical formula, or anything else that is coming to your mind just now, because each of you, I think there are some over 100 participants. Now, each of you, each of you will be working in a different field, and to your mind will come, oh, I'm working on this, so then I put this into an abstract. So, at this forum, it's not possible to answer individual questions like this. So ask yourself, is mathematical formula, I mean, this person who has asked the question, You can answer this so that it will become easy for everyone to then apply these basic concepts. So let's say, is mathematical formula a field, a technical field? Anyone? All right. Is it a problem? Is it a technical problem? No. Is it a solution? No. The application of a formula may be a solution, but the formula itself is not a solution, right? Is it a use? No. So the answer is obvious to everyone. And this practical example, it's good that this was brought up. And so basically this is the way these basic concepts that I've shared with you. You can apply it to any questions that come to your mind, and if you just apply them to whatever work you are doing, you will be able to sort of get answers yourself. And that's what we believe in. Like, I can give you closing statements, but that closing statement, whether you are working on a formula, are you formulation? Are you working on a molecule? Are you working on an apparatus? Are you working on a process? What are you working on? It's not like just a template you take and you do it. So these are concepts. We are sharing these concepts with you, that this is how you can structure your patent application. And then you apply these concepts to your practice. This is another example. Again, here we have set the field. Okay, right? Then we have talked about the problem. The problem was at least one bundle having a plurality of non-tight buffered optical solutions, fibers and binder element maintaining the integrity. The problem was maintaining the integrity of the bundle. So here we have cited the technical problem. We have also said what is the solution, that I add. I have plurality of optical fibers, but I don't want to. I want to maintain the integrity of it. So what am I doing? I'm adding a binder element to it. And then of course you can say which can be the types of binder. Okay, so this is another example where again we have fulfilled the basic four concepts or basic four requirement of an abstract. What is the technical field, what is the problem, what is the solution, and what is the use. Okay. These are some examples now in the drawing. When it is necessary to understand, it's not mandatory, but it is always very good to provide drawings. But wherever you can use drawings to illustrate something, use it. It is a very good way of expressing and illustrating your invention or your client's invention. So drawings, of course, form a part of the specification. So when you are counting pages, if there is extra fees, then the drawings will form part of the specification. So you need to make sure that you're paying the correct fees. Then each drawing will be on separate sheets, but you can have one or two more figures on one sheet. So you can have 2 or 3 depending on the size of the figure. On one drawing sheet, you can have 2 or 1 or more figures. As somebody was asking earlier also, there's no descriptive matter should appear in the drawings. It should be reference numerals, and all those reference numerals are included into the detailed description. So in the detailed description, we have the drawings. We use the think there's a problem with the communication. So in the detailed description, we can use the numerals, and the part should be described there. In the drawings, we only use the reference numerals. Now, for the flow diagrams, the practice has changed a little. You can, if there's a flow chart, let's say in a CII, if you are showing the different steps, or even in a process, if you are showing different steps, then you can use that thing. But you still have to also, to each in the flow diagrams, to each block, you still also have to give a number, and then refer to that step, the same number in the detailed description. So that is a very critical aspect of drafting, where you need to make sure that it is there is a consistency in the description and in the numbers, reference numerals, and in the drawing. So whatever is in the drawing should come into the, so if you make a drawing, you give some reference numeral and you forget to mention that part in the specification, it can lead to some objections. So this is the basic legal requirement for drawing. Normally, the size is should be sufficiently large so that it is clearly visible. Invention should be clearly visible. Don't use dimensions. So sometimes, you may get drawings from a client where the dimensions are given, but by giving these dimensions, unless they are very particular, so there's an angle which is particular, which is actually claimed, or there's a dimension which is important and it is claimed, then you can, instead of writing the dimension, you could, mark it with a D or M, and then say in your specification that M is from this range to this range. So unless it is something like this, dimensions are generally not marked, because you are limiting the scope of your invention. So this is another thing about drawing. It should be sufficiently large to clearly show the invention. Also the lines, sometimes the lines are very thin, and by the time they are scanned and they are reproduced, and if they go to PCT level, and if they go to foreign filing level, again there is a loss of quality. So they, right from the beginning, make sure that the drawings are done with bold lines, so that any reproduction is very clearly visible. Another thing about the drawings is, you have to leave these margins, because for whatever purposes in the patent office. So top and left hand margin is 4 centimeter, bottom and right hand margin is 3 centimeter. Normally you prepare it on A4 size sheets. So sometimes, to reduce the number of pages, a lot of figures, 4 or 5 figures are crammed into one sheet of drawing. But if it fits, fine. If it anything wrong with it, but if it doesn't fit, if it makes the thing not clear, then it could cause problems. And therefore, these are the legal requirements of the drawings, which you can keep in mind, and do it right from the beginning. Because what happens is, by the time objection comes, 3-4 years have passed, and at that time to refine the original drawings, of course you will find it, but it is difficult. It takes more time. Another thing is, a lot of people also put photographs sometimes, so if there is an apparatus, there is an article, people just take photos and put it. Again, that's not good practice. The drawings need to be line drawings. So that is a good practice too. So if you get a photograph, or if you get an article photograph like this, then you can ask a draftsman to make the line drawings. And then of course there are more details. For example, if it is a cut section, you need to show where is the cut cross section from. If it's longitudinal section, again the cut part needs to be hashed. So it's very important to, if you are dealing with inventions that need detailed drawings like this, it's good to learn, and sometimes it's good to get done from an expert who do patent drawings. Headers and footers in the drawings. So we will be labeling it sequentially, systematically numbered. So on the left-hand top corner, you have the name of the applicant. On the right-hand top corner, you have number of sheets and also the consecutive number of each sheets. And on the right-hand bottom corner, this is again, I'm talking only of the Indian Patent Office requirement, and that is how they want the drawing sheets to be. And then it's a signature of the applicant or his agent is at the right hand corner. This is how the legal requirement is for header and footer in each drawing sheet. So if you have 5 drawing sheets, you write number of sheets 5, and then it's a sheet number 1, sheet number 2, sheet number 3. That's how each drawing needs to be clearly sort of made out that this is in PCT and in foreign countries, they don't really want you to write the applicant name or the signature of the applicant. You can simply write 1/5, 2/5, 3/5. So the system is a little different for India and for other countries. So this is other than claims, we have touched upon all the elements of a patent specification and the do's and don'ts and the basic principles, how you can apply them to, drafting of your patent specification. So we have a few minutes and we can take some questions from this specification, this session, or even from the search session.
Madam, as it is evident that the abstract basically facilitates the examiner to find the other conflicting claims or specification, then why should we at all be clear in abstract? Because it is going to throw me only difficulties.
So that's what I have explained, that throw you into difficulties. What is the meaning of that? What kind of difficulties?
I mean, through the abstract, the examiner is going to find what is my scope, and by that, I think largely the keywords are taken from the abstract, and they go for finding other, citations, which will be thrown back to me in the time of FER, through the FER. So the abstract is only going, if I be very elaborate in the abstract, not only examiner, but other people who are searching searching the specification in the internet, they will be very clear about my domain. So I may be having more objections.
But as we know, it will not be more or less. It will not be more or less, because if you have an examiner or a person who is interested in reading the specification is not going to stop at the abstract. Yesterday when we were doing the patent search, this thing, if I don't know if you were there or not, but we talked that if you read the abstract, and actually the abstract is supposed to give you enough information to decide that am I going to stop here, or am I going to is this useful to me or not? And that is the whole, this whole patent system, as we talked about several times, that you need to understand this. Then you can keep your invention as a trade secret. Why are you even filing the patent application? Why are you even sharing the technical information with anybody who will search it and find it and know about it? We are sharing because this is a relationship. This is a contract that we are signing. With any patent application, when you submit, it is like you can think of it as an agreement between two parties. One party is the applicant, and the second party is the Indian Patent Office or the government, under which the patent office comes, or US Patent Office or European Patent Office or any patent office in the world. So the contract is that I'm going to disclose my technology. Why do we want disclosure? Why does the government want disclosure? Because people want knowledge to be shared. Otherwise, the trade secret, if it is kept as state secret, then the knowledge dies. With sometimes very good technology is developed and it is kept a trade secret between 2 members of the family or 3 members, and then it's not passed on, and then further development on that technology does not happen. So again, the development happens only by those 2 or 3 or 5, whatever people have that trade secret, and no further intellect can be applied to it, and the further development on the technology is limited to the intellect of those few people, not couple, but whatever number are involved. So this is why, this is the where you have to, there people have to take decision between trade secret and filing a patent application. So once you are filing the patent application, then you need to sort of follow the principle. The principle is you give sufficient disclosure, you write in the abstract and titles the way my legal requirement is, so that it is easy for the examiner, it is easy for the, because examiner is also has a limited amount of time in which the examiner has to search, find prior art, prepare the examination report. They are given targets. Naturally, they cannot sit and search for 7 days for one patent application, whatever, I don't know, every patent office, they have their own timings which are given to the examiner. So of course you have to help the examiner also in doing that examination, and you need to also make it available. You need to fulfill your part where there is a sufficient disclosure, there is clear disclosure, there is sufficient support, whatever you are claiming, there is sufficient support for that claim. So that best mode of performing that invention, so that if anybody who is skilled in the art, if he or she wants to perform that experiment, there should be enough disclosure to be able to perform that experiment. So
Okay,
this
ma'am.
is the philosophy of the patent system throughout the world. Okay, that is why we need to do it. Okay.
Right. Ma'am, many people are asking, I hope you'll be sharing the PPTs also, ma'am.
So that's up to CII, and if they want to share, they can. I don't know what is there. This is like not something organized by me. I'm a speaker here. So just speak to the organization.
Sure, ma'am.
And
So
if
basically,
it is.
you can share. You can share. So we need to talk to them, right, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
Sure. Thank you, ma'am. Bye.
All right. Thank you, everyone. I hope that this was useful, and anytime here our email IDs are given here. Anytime you want to, and you can also share your email IDs, because we have a newsletter that actually is published sometimes monthly, sometimes even twice a month, and it's got very useful information on whatever is happening in the IP field. So if you share that with me, we'll put you on the newsletter, and you can get very good information every month. You can also follow us on this website, and again, there are several articles, almost like one article every day on something or the other, which is an important aspect of IP. It may not always be patents, but it could be related to any other aspect of IP. So we do a lot of this knowledge sharing, and you're most welcome to use any of these resources which are available to you. Okay. So I think if there are no further questions, then we can. There is one question about reference numeral being added to the claims. So yes, if the reference numerals are added to the claim, then the claim will be restricted to that component which is illustrated in the drawing. And that is the problem with the reference numerals being put in the claims. But at some time, if really it is a narrow invention and the clarity is very important. For example, if it is like a CII, where I've given a flow chart, and the reference numeral actually speaks about one of the steps, so it's a reference numeral of the step. And those claims sometimes run into like my independent claim could run into 5 pages or 10 pages. And it just makes it easier to for everybody to read, and even the examiner. So sometimes we do that. But yes, if you are for other things like mechanical devices, and so you have to be very careful if at all you are using it. You can sort of, use it, but you need to be very, very careful that are you limiting the scope, or are you making it more clear? Where to what does the reference numeral denote? And in the claim, if you are adding it, then is it restricting it to an embodiment, or is it a general reference stream we'll use like in a flow chart for a particular step? Okay. All right. Thank you everyone for being a patient listener, and keep in touch. We'll see you again tomorrow. Yeah. Dr. Diwan will take up on talk to you about claims and how to sort of general guidelines about how to draft claims. Thank you all. Bye. Have a great evening. Amrita, you are here or?